Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 8th of March and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So guys, in today's video, we are going to take up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. Also we'll see if there are some relevant articles in the Indian Express explained section that also will take. And the explainer PDF of the video you can download from our Telegram channel. You can find the link for Telegram channel in description box. You can even search in the search bar in Telegram by the name of Thinking Palette and you can download the PDF from there. Now, first of all, before going into the newspaper discussion, let's see the overview of the newspaper and let's understand that which articles are important for the today's in today's paper. So the first article, it is talking about the oil spike and the stagflation. So we'll understand this particular article, what it is talking about. Then the legacy of Savitri Bai and Jyoti Rao Phule. Now guys, recently there are certain comments that have been made by the Maharashtra governor. Because of this, such kind of thing is coming into the news. However, this particular article is very much generalistic and just talking about the few of the notable contributions that have been there. Okay, but beyond that also much more contribution is there about the Savitri Bai and the Jyoti Rao Phule. Okay, then moving on, the Hindu newspaper. So guys, in the Hindu newspaper, first of all, let's see the text and the context section. Now in the text and the context section, the complexities for implementing a no-fly zone. Now we have seen this particular thing that over the Ukraine, the demands are coming from the Ukraine that you impose a no-fly zone. However, the NATO had up till now had not said that okay, we will be implementing it. They have said that it is not possible to implement a no-fly zone. Even the Russia had warned that if the no-fly zone is announced over the Ukraine, it means that that particular country or that particular grouping is joining the war against the Russia. So basically, the no-fly zone, guys, it means that the airspace over a country, fine, here no flight can fly and whosoever will be flying, fine, then they can be shot down. So if no fly zone will be announced over the Ukraine, it means that then any of the jet, let's say from the Russian sides, any fighter plane from the Russia it is coming, then it can be shot down. So it might become situation more complex. So as of now it is not being announced. So guys, in this particular thing only there are much of the technical details that have been mentioned, not that much important for our examination. Then the below article, the list of the FATF and Pakistan's position. Now this particular article talks about the FATF, which has recently retained Pakistan into the grey list. We'll see this particular thing. Then the myths and the reality of the election forecast. Now guys, this particular article has come from the archives. Now basically what had happened, it has provided see recently the same exit polls have come which have provided that for example the BJP will be winning in the UP, Aam Aadmi Party will be winning in Punjab. Then okay, into this particular direction the exit polls have come. So basically now this particular article, it is an old article. It is providing that how the exit polls are many times released by the media houses, their methodology is not properly revealed. Okay, so such kind of thing has been provided and the examples from the past have been taken with respect to the elections and the predictions which party won. With respect to exam, not important article. Now moving to the Hindu main paper, so starting with the page number 1. So the multi-phase elections end in UP. Okay, not important. Okay, fine with respect to our UPSC examination. Then guys, further moving on into this particular direction, the first page, okay, the evolutionary issues, fine, the political issues etc have been mentioned. Nothing is very important that is given here. Fine, moving on in the city section also, the regional news, okay, etc have been provided. Now guys, here we can see Rajasthan to boost public hearing system in villages. So this particular article will see with respect to the good governance initiatives. Then further moving on, advertisements etc not important. Coming to the editorial page, sealed cover jurisprudence is appalling. So what is this sealed cover jurisprudence with respect to polity? We'll see this article. Working women too with a dream of good child care. So guys, with respect to the working women and how the child care burden that is imposed on them, it can be balanced. Such kind of article is given here. Guys, today it is the today is the women's day. So in the today's article there are the two articles, both are talking about the role of the women. Okay, so the next page, reaping the potentials of the female workforce. So it is also talking that how we can enhance the female labor force participation rate. Is a more humane society possible? Now guys, this particular article has been written by the sociologist Ratna Naidu and here she is talking about the methodology, the anatomy of the human brain, how the human brain changes as different experiences are there. Okay, so basically she is talking majorly about the Herbert Mead's methodology. Clear? Now, if your optional is sociology, you can read this particular article, but there also I don't find much of a relevance of it. However, for guys with respect to our general studies, our UPSC, the article is not containing that much of substance which is relevant for our examination. Then this particular article, it is talking about the basically power. It is a state of play where certain state and their internal issues are given. Moving on. After that, a day of false hopes for Sumi students. So as the students are basically trapped into the Ukraine, fine. Still, many of them are there and they have not been evacuated. Just the false assurances are being given. Then China calls for ties to move forward. So guys, here the China is saying that now India and China should cooperate. We'll see this particular article. After that, moving on in this particular direction. Fine. Then guys, there are issues majorly surrounding onto the Ukraine. You don't need to go and read every article. Now this particular article, plan to bring 4 lakh girls back to school. The important article, we'll see this particular thing. Labor Ministry launches a donate a pension scheme. We'll see this particular article. After that guys, basically Supreme Court tells UPSC to respond to plea by COVID hit aspirants. So many of the aspirants, they have said that they were not able to write their mains examination because they tested positive for the COVID-19. They should be given an extra attempt. Fine, not important for our examination. Fine. After that, moving on in this particular direction, the world page, again it is talking about entirely filled with the Russia Ukraine crisis that is going on. Fine. Oil, nickel soar on fears of supply chaos. Fine. Now basically today the major theme in the business page is the increasing oil prices. However, this dimension we will cover in the Indian Express article that has been given. Okay, so this is all about the views or overview of the today's newspaper. Then we have the sports page, and now guys, let's start with all these articles one by one in the detail. Now starting up, so first of all, as we start with our every class with the GS quote, so today we'll be taking the quote from the Desmond Tutu. Okay, Desmond Tutu, who recently passed away. Desmond Tutu, he says, do your little bit of good wherever you are. It is those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Clear? So drop by drop you can fill an ocean. So even the people, individuals, they will do their little good. That little good collectively will become a bigger good, and that bigger good will overwhelm the entire world. So please don't hesitate in whatever capacity you can contribute in a positive way. Clear? Your capacities might be small, but these small efforts can make a great difference. So do whatever is in your capacity and the good shall prevail in the entire world. We can use this particular idea in our GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. Fine. So that is about the GS code for today. Now further moving on, let's first of all take the MCQ answers for the session that we have carried. Guys, first of all, apologies, I was not able to stream the video yesterday because I got struck in some kind of unexpected kind of thing. So the MCQ's answers, fine. Question number 1, correct answer will be D. Question number 2, correct answer is A. You can see the explanation here. You can pause the video. Now taking up the MCQs for today. So basically first of all, this particular MCQ is from history. Now there are certain statements that have been given. Read the statements and consider the correct option. Okay. Then further moving on, consider the following statements regarding the United Nations Human Rights Council. Fine. Why? Because recently into the United Nations Human Rights Council, the voting was carried where India has abstained. Okay. So you can read this particular question. Fine. Then further moving on. Okay. Now starting up with the first article. So this particular article we have taken from the Indian Express explained section, oil spike and stagflation. Now this particular article will be important under the purview of GS paper number 3, state of Indian economy. Now before going in this particular article, guys, let's first of all discuss a little bit about the background. So background goes like this, that right now what has happened, the crude oil prices in the international market, they are increasing, and as of now the crude oil per barrel price has reached to nearly $140 per barrel. Now just to put the things into the perspective, just 3 months back in the December, the crude oil was hovering around 70 to 80 dollar per barrel. Now it has reached to $140. First of all, why the crude oil has increased to such high levels? It is because, guys, now the USA is imposing the sanctions onto the Russia Russia is the Russia is the second largest producer of the crude oil, and USA had said that we will not import the crude oil from the Russia, and other countries should not also import. They are putting the sanctions. And if the second largest producer's supply will be cut off, what will happen? The demand and supply mismatch will come. See, the demand is same, but the Russia, if they are being imposed a ban on it, okay, the supply will go down, and obviously when demand supply mismatch will be there, the prices will go up. And today we see $140 per barrel crude oil is there. Now this particular thing is bringing a kind of a problem, particularly for India. What kind of problem, guys? In India, 84% of our crude oil is imported, clear. And in our trade, basically whatever the foreign trade we are doing, clear, much of our bill is because of the crude oil that we are importing. Now it has been provided, guys, that as the transportation depends on to the oil, okay, and the oil prices, if it increases, it also brings the inflation in a country. How much inflation it brings? So an estimate has been given. It has been said that if the oil price will increase by 10%, it will increase the wholesale inflation by 0.9% and retail inflation by 0.5%. Now here you can see that the price of the crude oil has become 2x, it has become doubled. Now as of now, the inflation is not coming that much. Why? Because, guys, the elections in some of the states were there, and because of the elections, government was not increasing actually the price of the final petrol and diesel. So as of now, the inflation was contained. But guys, as the election will over and as the result will come, what will happen? Government will increase the price of the petrol and diesel, and by that the inflation will increase. Is it clear? Only possible way out here is that the government reduces its taxes onto the petrol and diesel in a proportional manner in order to save the consumers, but that might not happen. Now it has been provided that as the moment the petrol and diesel price will increase, because already the price has become doubled, what will happen? This higher inflation will rob the Indians of their purchasing power. Clear? Now because inflation will increase, so guys, when inflation increases, what happen? The real power, real purchasing capacity of the money, it gets declined. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the India's GDP, into the India's GDP, the 55% of the India's GDP is made up by the private final consumption. Fine, you, me, and all of us people who are consuming the goods, such as we are consuming the soaps, phones, cars, refrigerators, fine, and many other food products and all such kind of things. Our private consumption, it makes 55% of GDP, and if inflation will increase, obviously what will happen? We might not be able to spend that much onto these particular items, and by this particular thing, what will happen? The aggregate demand will go down. When the demand will go down, fine, what will happen? The businesses, they have to then reduce their supply. Fine, they will fire many of the people. Okay, it will disincentivize the businesses from investing in new capacities. Fine, and actually more people, they will be removed from job. Unemployment will increase more. Fine, it will bring even more lower income. Then we will actually demand even more lower goods. Then even more businesses will go out of, they might shut down or they might reduce their capacity. So this particular kind of a vicious and complex problem will begin. Now it has been provided that, see, what happens as the inflation is increasing, we will reduce our demand, and as we'll reduce our demand, the impact on business will be there, and when the impact onto the business will be there in an economy, the stagnation will come. So basically now the situation where two things are coming together, that is the high inflation and high unemployment as well as the stagnation, this situation is called as the stagflation. Now stagflation is not a very commonly observed phenomena. Why? Because, see, first of all, the inflation, when we talk about inflation, it has been said that usually inflation comes when the economy is booming. When the economy is going good, the inflation comes. Okay, so inflation and stagnation, they obviously will be little bit opposite, so they don't come usually together. But now the inflation is there, and along with the inflation, the stagnation is coming. So this situation, stagflation, might be there. Now see, in this particular article there are the viewpoints from the two different type of people that have been provided. Number one, they say that already India is in a stage of a stagflation, it has started since 2020. And secondly, second type of people, they say that no, India is not in a stagflation, but in the future it might go into the stagflation. Now fine, basically in this article also a lot of technical numbers, fine, the GDP estimates and GDP comparison over the past few months have been done. Now that technical hairline microscopic data is not important for your examination, so don't go into that. Moreover, these all numbers will change, fine, by the time you will write your examination. So you just need to understand the concept, you just need to understand the concept as how the things are connected, because even in the prelims now the question on such kind of lines are being asked. So that is all guys about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article, the list of the FATF and the Pakistan's position. So this particular article will be important under GS paper number 2 global groupings, GS paper number 2 global groupings, fine, as well as GS paper number 3, GS paper number 3 terror financing and the mechanisms to reduce the terror financing. We can see this particular article. Now before going in this particular article guys, let's see the background, that why this particular article has become important. See, recently the Financial Action Task Force FATF has released its preliminary report, and actually it has retained Pakistan. It had retained the Pakistan in the grey list. It has retained Pakistan in the grey list. Now why Pakistan has been retained into this grey list, what is this grey list, what is this FATF, what it does, all these things we are going to discuss in this particular article. So basically guys, you know this particular thing, that actually the terrorism is the biggest threat that the humanity is facing, and in order to reduce the terrorism, what we need to do, we need to focus on two things. Number one, we need to cut the sympathy for the terrorist organization so that the people they don't join it, fine. And second thing is that we need to cut the financing or the funding of these terrorist organizations. And in this particular capacity guys, there is one organization that has been created, that is the Financial Action Task Force. Now what is this Financial Action Task Force? It is a kind of a grouping, fine. Financial Action Task Force, it is a grouping which has 39 members as of now. It was established onto the initiative of the G7 in 1989 in Paris. So it is an initiative that was started by the G7 in 1989 in Paris. Today it has 39 members. In total 37 countries are there, and there are the two groupings that are the member, that is the European Commission and then the GCC. So GCC, European Commission, and 37 independent countries. In total there are the 39 members that are there into this particular Financial Action Task Force. Now what this Financial Action Task Force does? So basically guys, the Financial Action Task Force, fine, the highest level of meeting that is there of this particular Financial Action Task Force, it is the plenary session, plenary meeting. This is the highest or the most high level meeting that happens. In this plenary meeting, first of all, it happens once every third year. It happens once every third year. And in this plenary session, the countries, they came out that what should be done so that the financing for the terrorist organization can be reduced. Now guys, the FATF has given in 2012, FATF has given in 2012 49 of the consolidated recommendations. These are the 49 guidelines that have to be followed by every country in order to reduce two things. Number one, money laundering, and number two, the terror financing. So 49 guidelines they have issued in 2012, and they have provided that every country needs to follow it, okay, and every country need to set up anti-money laundering or combating the financing of a terrorism regime. Clear? So these guidelines they have to follow. Now guys, what happened? The FATF, it carries the review of all the countries. It carries the review of the countries, and it see that out of the guidelines that it have came out with, how many of the guidelines are being followed or not. Clear? Now there are certain countries which might not be following all the guidelines. So these countries which are not following all the guidelines, they are actually put in two type of list. One is the grey list, and other is the blacklist. Clear? So now what is this grey list and blacklist exactly, we are going to understand. So basically guys, the gray list are those countries which had not complied on all the guidelines, on all the recommendation that have been given by the FATF, but they are actually actively trying to work on that particular thing. They are making efforts, or they are carrying the steps that in the mean course of time they will follow it. Now after every plenary meeting which happens the third after 3 years, fine, what happens, FATF come out with the two of the list of the countries, gray list and the black list. Now as of now, in the gray list there are the 23 countries that are there. Now guys, the latest what had happened, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, has been added into this gray list, and the Zimbabwe has been taken out of this particular gray list. So there are 23 countries, and Pakistan is one of this in this particular gray list. In the blacklist, those countries are there which are neither following the recommendation of FATF and nor they are actively working on following it. And as of today, in blacklist there are two countries, Iran and the North Korea. Iran and the North Korea, two countries are there into the black list. Now it has been provided that actually if a country is put into a gray list or black list, what will be the impact that will be there? If a country is either in either of the one of the list, it will become very difficult for that particular country to gain the funding from the international organizations such as the IMF, Asian Development Bank, European Union. Fine, they might not be able to take the money out from them. Is it clear? So this is something that happens. Fine. Okay, there is a doubt. FATF meet 3 times in a year. Okay, yes. So, sorry guys, I made a mistake. One slip of tongue. FATF meets thrice a year, not once in 3 years. Okay, so there was a slip of tongue. I think I did. FATF meets thrice a year, not in one time in 3 years. Okay, so that is a correction. Now moving on. Now what is the case of the Pakistan? So guys, basically in 2019, Pakistan was given a kind of an warning by the FATF that you are not following all the guidelines that you have to follow, for example, in order to reduce the terror financing and in order to reduce the money laundering. And the Pakistan was provided that with respect to the terror groups and terror financing, it is following just 5 out of the 27 tasks that was given to it. So to Pakistan specifically 27 tasks were given, but out of the 27, Pakistan was just following the 5 tasks. So Pakistan was given a timeline that you should try to follow it. But guys, because of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and 2021, Pakistan missed on that particular thing. Fine, now the Pakistan provided that okay, we are actively pursuing on that particular thing, and June 2021, Pakistan was given, apart from these 27 guidelines, there were 7-point action plan that was additional given to the Pakistan. So along with this 27, fine, what happened to 27, the 7 were given. So in total 34 guidelines were to be followed to the Pakistan. Now the Pakistan had just informed that out of this 34, they are following the 32. Just there are the 2 tasks, 2 of the guidelines that they are not able to follow, and by the 2023 they will follow that also. So because they have not followed on all the tasks, that is that entire 34, the Pakistan has been put onto the grey list. But as actively they are trying to make sure that every one of these being followed, the FATF has appreciated Pakistan, and it has said that in 2023 it will be removed from the grey list if all these tasks are followed. So this is the entire issue with respect to this particular thing. Guys, I hope that it has been clear. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Rajasthan to boost public hearing system in villages. Now see, basically this particular article can be seen with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues of good governance. Now what is good governance? Guys, good governance is one where the government is accountable to the public, and government activities are carried in such a way that the maximum welfare can be brought for the people. So this is the good governance that is there. Now we have the case study of Rajasthan in the today's article. Now first of all guys, the Rajasthan in 2018 in their election manifesto, the government promised that if they came to the power, they will be coming out with the the Transparency and Social Accountability Bill. What is this Transparency and Social Accountability Bill? Under this particular bill, the power will be given to the civil societies, the power will be given to the citizens, that they can hold the government and government organizations accountable to whatever action they are doing. Now, seeking accountability or seeking answerability for anybody's power is a short kind of a way for making sure that the power is being used in a right manner. Now, so this particular bill was a promise, that is the Transparency and Social Accountability Bill, under which the government agencies accountability can be asked by the civil societies, by the people. Even it was also promised that as a part of this particular bill, an effective grievance redressal mechanism will also be provided to the citizens. But guys, 2022 came, as of now 2022, much of thing was not done onto this particular Transparency and Accountability Bill. So therefore, in this particular direction, what happened, and a kind of a protest got organized into the Rajasthan, and the Jawab Dehi Dharna got started. What is this Jawab Dehi Dharna? Jawab Dehi Dharna is basically it is a protest for bringing the accountability of the government. Now, first of all, in this example of Jawab Dehi Dharna can also be a very good example which you can use in your answers. See, always we talk about the role of the civil societies. Now, the civil societies can make democracy more robust. It can bring the deepening of democracy. For example, the Jawab Dehi Dharna had asked the government to bring the bill onto the accountability that it has promised into their election. Now, guys, because of this particular protest, finally the government of Rajasthan had introduced the draft bill to bring the transparency in governance as well as to bring the social accountability into this particular governance. Now, the bill that the Rajasthan government has came out with, there are the provisions of this particular bill such as that transparency into the governance will be brought, citizens participation will be brought, public hearings will be carried if there is any grievance, social audit will be carried. Okay, now what is a social audit? Let's say under the MG Narega fund there is one particular building that has been constructed. Now the citizens can come and can ask from the functionaries that okay, where you spend the money, how much money was spent. So the audit of the entire infrastructure project can be carried. Then after that there will be the information and the facilitation centers, fine, where the people who want to seek information with respect to government work can approach. After that there will be the decentralization of the process, and then there will also be the independent grievance redressal structure. Now the grievance redressal mechanism will start right from the village panchayat, fine, and will go at the upper levels. So even into the village panchayat, the way the village panchayat, the gram panchayat is working, if anybody has a problem, there also the grievance can be raised. So basically guys, in this particular capacity, the social accountability, the transparency and the social accountability bill of the Rajasthan government is much appreciable, and all the state governments need to come out with such kind of bills and laws into their state so that actually citizens are given the power, because in a democracy the citizen is one who has the power. So such kind of provisions should be followed in another states also. Very good kind of case study. And the Jawab Dehi Dharna also you can use. Moreover, if you know, I don't know whether you know it or not, but when the RTI, right to information, came in 2005, that initiative also came because of the effort that were taken by many of the civil societies in that particular direction. Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan was there. Then Commonwealth Initiative for Human Rights was there, fine, and many of such kind of initiatives were there. And today the Jawab Dehi Dharna has actually pushed the government to come out with this particular draft bill. Very good example, we can use it. And now we'll move to the next article. Now, making women too, working women too with a dream of good children. So this article is taken from the Hindu newspaper, and this particular article can be used with respect to the GS paper number 2, women rights, GS paper number 2, women rights, as well as in GS paper number 3 also we can have the usage of this particular article. How? We'll just see it. Now, first of all, guys, today we are celebrating the International Women's Day. Today is 8th March and we are celebrating the International Women's Day. So the theme of this year's International Women's Day is gender equality and sustainable gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. The theme is gender equality today for the sustainable tomorrow. Now, it has been provided that when we talk about the India, according to a study of 2018 released by the ILO, International Labour Organization, the women who are working in India, 95% of them are actually working in the informal sector. They are working in the informal sector where they work in labor intensive jobs which are very low paying, highly precarious kind of jobs are there. No social protection is given to the women. So the women in India, they are exposed to much of the risks and exploitations because they are into the informal sector. Now it has been provided that WHO, the World Health Organization, says this particular thing because in India the women are working into the informal sector, it is leading to the feminization of poverty. The feminization of poverty. Now what is the feminization of poverty? See, when we talk about the poverty, the general understanding is this, that the poverty can happen to any person irrespective of the gender. But around the world, when we see the number of people who are poor, men versus women, we have found that much more women are actually poor than the men. So the women have, the poverty have become feminized because more women are the poor. So feminization of poverty is going on. Now why this feminization of poverty is there in India? Because India's women are majorly working into the informal type of work where social security is not there, exploitation can happen, low paying jobs are there. So because of this particular thing, there is a feminization of poverty that is going on. Now moving on, basically when we talk about, guys, India has actually been a forerunner in many of number of kind of things. For example, with respect to the maternity benefit that India is providing, India is ahead of many of the developed countries that are there. Now as per the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act of 2017, India provides 26 weeks of maternity leave. India provides 26 weeks of maternity leave to the mother. Moreover, it has also been provided that basically a mandatory creche facility is also to be provided by the employer if an establishment is employing 50 or more women. Clear? So these are certain good things that have been provided to the mothers, fine, so that the mothers, even after having their children, are not dropping out of the workforce. But there is one catch here, that though the maternity benefit act, sorry, is very ambitious, but these benefits are actually enjoyed mostly by the formal sector women workers, and the formal sector women worker, they are just less than 5% of the total workforce. So actually benefit is coming only to going to the 5% of the women. 95% of women are still exposed. Now basically a 2016 ILO study had provided that when the women don't have the quality child care services, then also women drop from the work. For example, let's say women got pregnant and then she delivered a child. After that, the child needs to give some early education, child needs to be taught the early socialization. But if there is nobody into the house to provide for that, the women has to drop out and has to provide all these things. So not having the quality child care services also forces women to leave from the labor force. This is particularly that thing that has happened. So basically this article says that we need to focus on certain number of things. Number one, we need to extend the ICDS, integrated child development service infrastructure. Secondly, we need to revitalize the national creche scheme, and we need to improve the maternity benefit. And all these three things at the end of the day can provide much of the relief for the mothers, for the working women. Now what is to be done? So way forward, 3 points have been given. We'll be discussing all of them one by one. Expansion of ICDS. Now basically, guys, ICDS, that is the integrated child development service. Under the ICDS, we have one very important component of ICDS, that is the Anganwadi centers that will be developed within the ICDS. Now these Anganwadi centers will focus on the maternal care, will focus on to the child nutritional security, will provide the clean and safe environment to the child. Moreover, they are also responsible for the early childhood education. Even the new education policy 2020 has also provided that early childhood care is to be focused, and there the Anganwadi workers can be very helpful. So all these particular things are being provided by the ICDS. Anganwadi is a very important component. But it has been provided that when we talk about the Anganwadi initiative, it has certain limitations. And because of this particular thing, women are not able to enter the work after they have taken a leave because of their pregnancy. First, when we talk about the Anganwadi, they do not cater to the children under the age of 3. Only the children who are beyond the age of 3, they are catered by the Anganwadi. So the young ones, fine, if the Anganwadi is looking for the children who are less than younger than the 3 years also, then the mothers can leave their children into the Anganwadi and can go for work. Secondly, the Anganwadi works only for a few hours a day. Clear. And in that way also, if a mother wants to leave her child into the Anganwadi, she cannot be assured that for the entire day the child care will be given. Clear. This is something that has been provided. Now the article says that we need to make sure that there is early intake of children into the Anganwadi center. Even the children less than the 3 years, they should be taken in the Anganwadi. It will have two type of benefit. Number one, the mothers can go out and can find the paid work, and secondly, the new education policy of 2020 envisages that the early childhood care is to be given. So when there will be the children, let's say 2-year-old, 1-year-old, and in the Anganwadi, they can be provided the early education by the Anganwadi workers. This is something that has been provided. Now it is what can be done. We can extend the hours of the Anganwadi workers. We can extend the hours of the Anganwadi workers, but that thing might, though it will address this particular problem of the working of the mothers, but actually Anganwadi workers, they are very underpaid. They are underpaid and they are all already overburdened. So what we need to do, we need to hire more and more Anganwadi workers and need to improve their salaries, need to improve their wages, so that this could be a win-win situation. Then the second thing is that we need to revitalize the creche scheme. So guys, there is the national creche scheme under which the working women, okay, they can take the facility of this creche and can leave the children. But this national creche scheme, it has suffered because of the diminished government funding. So government funding has not been there, and because of this, many of the rural areas, many of the suburban areas, either they are not having they are not having designated creche, or if they are there, fine, the actually the attitude of the caregivers there is not very much positive. They don't have all the aids that are needed to be given to the children. So this is a very big problem that is there. So what we need to do, we need to come out with a new approach. Kind of an inclusive approach is required, where the work sites are needed to be diversified in such a way that onto the work sites there are the mandatory onto the work sites there are the mandatory creches in which the women can leave their children, particularly the women who are working in the sector such as the construction, etc. So this is something that has been provided. After that, guys, the next it is there that basically if there are the creches at the workplace, it will enhance that more women can actually resort to the breastfeeding of their children. And in this particular direction, the empirical studies have also been carried by the SEWA, that is the Self-Employment Women's Association Sangani campaign. So we need to enhance the revitalize the creche scheme, okay, and either the creche or at the working side the creches, they are needed to be made as a kind of a mandatory and a kind of a mechanism which is actually working. Then we need to improve the maternity benefits also for the mothers. Now understand this particular thing first of all, that we came out with the National Food Security Act in 2013, and within the National Food Security Act of 2013, it was provided that at least 6,000 rupees of entitlement will be provided to the pregnant mothers. Now pregnant women, now understand this particular thing, that actually in order to give the substance, in order to give in order to basically bring it into the concrete manner, what happened, we came out with a scheme, that is the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Under the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, the benefit of 5,000 rupees is being provided. So see, originally the promise was of 6,000, but only 5,000 rupees are being provided. So it has breached the promise. Moreover, under here only the money for one live child is being provided. Clear. So therefore basically in the National Food Security Act there was no limit that was imposed. Fine, all the mothers were to be covered, but here only till one child this particular benefit is being provided. Now there are certain states which have actually enhanced this particular mandate, and they are providing much more maternity benefit. Tamil Nadu, it is having Dr. Muthu Lakshmi maternity benefit scheme. Rajasthan is having Indira Gandhi maternity nutrition scheme. Odisha is having Mamta scheme. Then Gujarat is having Kasturba Poshan Sahay Yojana. Now into this particular thing, much higher entitlements are being given, and not only the money is being provided, rather the health seeking behavior is being infused. The attitude is being changed. Okay. After that, it has been provided that actually when there is a lack of affordable and quality child care services, okay, what happens, it puts the burden onto the women. Fine, when the maternity benefit care is not there, the women, they go into a kind of a burden, they have to leave from their workforce. Okay, and this particular thing then puts the burden onto the entire economy. So this is something that we need to address. Okay, now moving to the next article. Okay, so reaping the potential of the female workforce. So guys, this particular article is also talking that how we need to enhance the women labor force participation rate in Indian economy. So today, as the International Women's Day is there, so on this particular line, these articles are coming. Now, let's read this particular article, what it says. It says that actually the participation of women in the economy, it has dropped from 32% in 2005 to just 21% in 2019. Clear? Let's say there are the 100 women, there are the 100 women. Now out of these 100 women, how many are either working or looking for work? So 21 out of the 100 are actually looking for work or doing the work. Clear? So this is something that is there. Now India's female labor force participation rate is lowest amongst the BRICS countries. Clear? It is lowest amongst the BRICS countries. Okay, and it is even lower than our many of the neighbors such as the Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, etc. So therefore we need to enhance the female labor force participation rate. We need to make more women inclined towards doing the work. Why? Because it will then finally be giving the push to the Indian economy. Today, India's population is youngest in the world. Average age is just 29 years. Is it clear? So therefore, we can work. But here, if women will not participate into the work, obviously the low-hanging fruits cannot be reaped. Countries such as the China, Singapore, Taiwan, South Korea, they are the examples that how if you use your demography, if you use your young population, you can get the economic advantages. In China, they have used their demography to their advantage. Fine. So therefore India also needs to look into this particular thing. Now there are certain potential sectors in which the women can be employed, and there are two sectors particularly that has been given, that is the healthcare sector. Okay, and then second is the education sector. Now today when we talk about the healthcare sector, oh, fine, 80% of the basically the large number of women are being hired into the healthcare sector, into the role of nurses, midwives, into the education sector, into the role of teachers. Many of the women are hired. So it has been said that actually the care sector, care service sector is very important one, and here more jobs can be developed compared to the manufacturing and construction sector jobs. The article says that the manufacturing and the construction sector, here the tools, technology and increased mechanization has removed the areas where the manual labor can be hired, but into the care sector manual labor is needed. So there the women can be enrolled. Now according to a ILO report on care work, and care jobs for the future of decent work, they provide this particular thing that if we do the suitable investment into the care sectors in India, 69 million jobs can be generated by 2030. 69 million jobs can be generated by 2030. Moreover, the gig economy can also be a kind of a thing that can be explored. Now, what is the gig economy? Guys, gig economy is that particular sector of economy where the works are on freelancing basis. On freelancing basis, a person at one time can work at 3-4 places. Okay, the people will be paid either on per assignment basis or per hourly basis. So this gig economy is there. Now with the coming of the platforms, by the coming of the platforms such as the Ola, Uber, Urban Company, etc., many of the workers are finding their place into the gig economy as well as in the platform economy. So basically this gig economy, it can provide the women work in many of the sectors such as the transport sector, personal and home care. For example, in Urban Company, many of such men and women both are finding the places. Clear? So this is something. Now in India, there is the low cost of internet that is there, and the Digital India campaign also came. Because of this, the penetration of internet has happened. Moreover, when we talk about the gig sector, fine, or the platform jobs, they have the low entry barriers. You many times also don't need much of technical qualifications also. So here also the women can be enrolled. But guys, again, there is a problem in this particular direction, that according to the GSMA mobile gender gap report, it has been provided that today 25% of women they own smartphone compared to 41% of the men in 2020. So still the mobile smartphone penetration with the women is not there, and because they don't have the mobile phone, they cannot get connected with this platform economy. Okay, and then the gig economy. So this is something that also needs to be worked upon. What is the need of the hour? The need of the hour is that we need to enable the women that they acquire both the physical assets, the physical assets as well as the employable skills. Now, when we talk about the physical assets, they are to be provided the credit facilities, they are need to be provided the fund, so that whatever, let's say a woman wants to start a work, and for starting a work, obviously she will need certain tools, she will need certain aids. So the physical assets are to be provided to that woman by giving her suitable loans. And secondly, the employable skill is to be provided to the women. Now, when we talk about the skill, providing skill to the women, online skill training can be a very potential kind of thing. Now we need to explore that how, when while the women are sitting at their home, they can be skilled, clear. So the online skilling programs are needed to be brought on. Moreover, into this online skilling, the government can partner with the firms, the corporates, the industries, the civil societies, etc. So this is something that needs to be explored upon. Fine. So that is all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Sealed covered jurisprudence is appalling. Fine. Now this article will see in the light of GS paper number 2 issues related to the polity, and particularly the issues related to the judiciary. Issues related to the judiciary, we are going to see this particular article. So guys, before going in this particular article, let's see the background. So the background goes like this, that what had happened recently, the center had said that they will not renew the broadcasting license of a Malayalam TV channel, Media One. Now the Ministry of Home Affairs had said that they have not been given the security clearance because there is certain activities of this particular channel which goes against the national security. So their clearance was not given and their license has been revoked. Now this particular matter went to the Kerala High Court, and the Kerala High Court has also given their decision, and they said that okay, the ban that has been imposed on them, it is justified. Now while listening this particular matter, guys, what had happened, the Kerala High Court had relied on to certain documents that have been provided by the Ministry of Home Affairs in a sealed cover, and from here comes the concept of the sealed cover jurisprudence. Now what is the sealed cover jurisprudence? Understand this particular thing, guys, that first of all, what happened, the Ministry of Home Affairs said that the channel is involved in certain kind of activities which are against the national securities. The matter reached to the Kerala High Court. Fine, the Kerala High Court said that okay, you tell us that, or you show us some evidence that it is actually it was going against the national security. Now the document has been provided in a sealed cover. It means that these document will just be read by the court, and court will not share these document with anybody. These document will not be shared with anybody. Now what is the problem because of this sealed jurisprudence? Number one, guys, it has been provided that when we talk about this particular issue where the license has been invoked, number one, the news channel whose license got invoked, his fundamental right had got violated. The right for association, occupation, business got impacted. Then the fundamental right of press, that is the right of speech and expression, it has also got violated. Though Article 19 subclause 2 talks about that this particular right can be suspended onto the charges of public order, incitement of an offense, security of a state as follows, it has been there. But there are certain other deeper issues that are there. See, when we talk about this sealed covered jurisprudence, there is first of all no when we talk about this sealed cover jurisprudence in this particular direction, the Supreme Court as well as a lower court many a times they have resorted to it, where they accept the information in a sealed cover and it does not reveals what is contained into that sealed cover. Now this particular doctrine of sealed cover comes from the section 123 of Indian Evidence Act 1872. It comes from section 123 of Indian Evidence Act 1872. Now in this particular direction, it has been provided that the Chief Justice or the court can direct that certain information will be kept under the sealed cover if it might have some implication onto the national security. Now basically it has been provided that there are certain criticisms in this particular direction that are coming. Number one criticism, that it will impact the principle of transparency and accountability. Clear? Whenever the trial is happening, the facts are needed to be provided to the public also, so that they can see that the right thing is being done. But here there is no transparency because the entire document has been given in a sealed cover. Secondly, there can also be the arbitrariness into the court decision. See, whenever a court is giving a decision, court has to provide provide that why they have given such a decision, and they have to provide the reasoning for their decision making process. But when the sealed information is being given, there is no reasoning that is given by the court, so therefore it can lead to the arbitrariness of the decisions. Now it has been provided that, guys, actually in this particular direction there are certain judgments also that are there. The first judgment here is of 2019, that is P Gopal Krishna versus the state of Kerala. In this particular thing, Supreme Court has provided this particular thing, that the disclosure of document to the accused is constitutionally mandated even if the investigation is ongoing. Now in this particular matter, the one which we are discussing, the Kerala High Court accepted the sealed cover from the Ministry of Home Affairs, just took a decision to that particular thing and did not show that particular information to the person who was accused also. Now the Supreme Court had already said that it is constitutionally mandated that the information is to be shown to that particular person. Moreover, in the INX media case in 2019, fine, basically the Supreme Court had criticized the Delhi High Court when it failed to deny the bail to the union minister because the document was submitted in a sealed cover. So the Supreme Court has criticized the Delhi High Court. Now the Kerala High Court has just taken a sealed cover and had not done much thing. Now further in this particular direction, it has been provided that there is also the Minerva Mills and the L Chandrakumar case. In the Minerva Mill and L Chandrakumar case, the judicial review has been believed as something which is intrinsic to the constitution, and the judicial review cannot be violated. Now whether the executive actions are right or not, on to this particular executive action a judicial review is to be done. Now the judicial review cannot happen if the information is being provided into the sealed cover. Clear? Now in this particular capacity, guys, it has been provided that how the Kerala High Court has done this particular thing. So Kerala High Court has actually relied on some another judgment, that is the Digi Cable Network versus Union of India judgment. In this Digi Cable Network versus Union of India judgment, it has been provided that in the case of national security, there is no need to strictly observe the principle of natural justice. Fine. So where the national security is there, it is not required to stick to the principle of natural justice, and therefore the information can be denied also. This is something that can be done. But guys, there is one more case also that has just came few months back, that is the Pegasus case. Now what is this Pegasus case? Technically it is known as Manohar Lal Sharma versus Union of India case. In this particular case, the Supreme Court has provided that all the time the central government cannot use the national security as a free pass to do everything. Fine. The Supreme Court provided that, or just what the government is doing, they use the word national security and curtail every kind of right. This is not something that they can do every day. So here also, citing just the national security and giving the information in a sealed cover and not showing the information to the person who has been accused, it is not a right kind of precedence. This is something that has been provided in this particular article. So that is all about it, and now we'll move to the next article. Labour Ministry launches Donate a Pension Scheme. So this particular article will be important with respect to the GS paper number 2, social justice and the vulnerable sections of Indian society. So basically, guys, what had happened, the Union Labour and Employment Ministry had launched Donate a Pension Scheme. Now what is this Donate a Pension Scheme? See, basically, guys, let's say you are having let's say you are having a person who is your driver, or you are having some domestic help. You are having the driver, domestic help, or you have, let's say, a watchman who is giving you your services. So now these people, they are actually working in informal sector. Fine. You might not be having probably a work contract, and you might not be giving them the social security. You are just paying them the salary in cash. So but these people also deserve to have some social security. So therefore, what Union Ministry had they have came out with a scheme, that is Donate a Pension. Now what you can do, you can donate certain money for these particular people, and these people then after their retirement age will receive a pension. So basically, guys, there is one particular scheme, that is the Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan scheme. Now under this Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan scheme, the people who are working into the unorganized sector, the people who are working into the unorganized sector can contribute the money from 55 rupees to 200 rupees. They can contribute money from 55 rupees to 200 rupees, and every person in the age of 18 to 40 years can enroll. Any person in the age of 18 to 40 years can enroll, and basically whatever contribution you will pay, the government will also match the similar contribution. You are saying paying 100 rupees, government will also bring 100 rupees from its side. So basically the contribution that is being given, it will be collected, and after the age of retirement, up to 50,000 rupees a month as a pension can be provided. Is it clear? It is highest. Now exactly what pension will be given, it will depend on the contribution on the age of a person. Now what is this donate a pension scheme that has come? Under the donate a pension scheme, any person can donate the premium. Now the premium that that person was paying, you can pay the premium on that particular person's behalf. So you can donate the premium and can provide the help for your immediate support staff such as the domestic workers, drivers, helpers, caregiver, etc. Now any donor who want to pay, he has to pay minimum for 1 year, and from 660 to 2400 per year he can pay. Fine, and this particular money will go to this particular person, and it will be given as a pension to that particular person. So this is a very notable kind of a scheme that has come and should be used. Fine. Now the effective implementation is also the key here, which will be there. Now guys, this particular thing will also show the side of the humaneness will also be shown. Clear? So this is something that should be encouraged. Now we'll move to the next article. Plan to bring 4 lakh girls back to school. Okay, so basically guys, before going in this particular article, first of all, this particular article will be important in GS paper number 2, social justice, as well as particularly for the women education. This particular article will be important. Now see, as the pandemic came, large number of women or large number of girls, they dropped from their formal education, they dropped from their schools, and in this particular capacity, the UNICEF had also carried the studies and had provided that the thousands of women, they had dropped from the formal education. Now guys, actually in order to bring back the girls back into the schools, the basically the government is coming out with a kind of a new initiative. Now what is this particular new initiative? Because before going in this particular thing guys, one more concept you need to understand. See, I have already told you about the Anganwadi. So little bit let's talk more about the Anganwadi. Anganwadi is a centrally sponsored scheme which is implemented by the states and UTs, and it is started by the government of India in 1975 as a part of Integrated Child Development Service. Now, the Anganwadi centers, they provide 6 type of services: supplementary nutrition, preschool non-formal education, immunization, health checkup, nutrition and health education, and referral services. These 6 type of services are being provided by the Anganwadi. So guys, right now the Anganwadis, they particularly cater these particular information only also to the children between the age of 11 to 14 years. Clear? Now what has happened, the Ministry of Women and Child Development, it is providing that for the Anganwadi, there is the new Saksham Anganwadi scheme that has been launched. New Saksham, now not it has been launched just 2 days back, earlier it came. So Saksham Anganwadi, this is about the Saksham Anganwadi means the attempt to empower the Anganwadi. Now under the Saksham Anganwadi, it has been provided that actually the women of 11 to 14 years, the girls of the 11 to 14 years who were being provided all these particular 6 services, now they will not be provided these 6 services. In place of this 11 to 14 year, 14 to 18 year old group will be focused. 14 to 18 year old group will be focused. Now why the 11 to 14 year age group children will not be covered here, or the children will not be covered here? It is because of the fact that guys, now it has been provided that the Anganwadi workers, they are now being given the target that all the girl childs that are there between the age of 11 to 14 years, rather than providing them service directly through the Anganwadi, they are needed to be enrolled into the school, and through the school they will be provided all the services. Now when a child goes to the school, within the school there is a midday meal scheme. Through the midday meal scheme, the child can receive the nutrition. Fine. In school the child is reading, and there the vocational education of the children, the other kind of learning skills to the children can be given. So basically now there is an attempt to bring the 4 lakh girls back to school, and in this particular capacity the Anganwadi workers have been given a specific responsibility. Now what will happen here? So basically the Anganwadi workers, they will collaborate with Anganwadi workers, they will be collaborating with the district education officers, and they will be supported by the tracking system used by the WCT education ministers, and they will be identifying the children that are out of the school between the age of 11 to 14 years, and then they will be put back into the school. Fine, the Anganwadi will focus on children, or into the children between age of 14 to 18, and everybody less than the 14, they will be put into the schools. So this is something that a government is planning for bringing back the children who had dropped out of the COVID-19, out of the school because of this COVID-19 pandemic. Clear? So this is something that had happened. Now guys, moving on further in this particular direction. Now, China calls for ties to move forward. Okay, so basically, guys, you don't need to go too much into this particular article. Just a one-liner concept that what has happened. Basically, the China has provided this particular thing that the China and India, being the neighbors, need to follow the cordial relation between each other. It has been provided that the basically misunderstanding that is coming, the interference of third parties such as the USA that is coming, it is making the relation between the India and China adverse. Clear? And the countries need to be more mature. The countries need to be more mature, and the countries need to move forward on the right track. Is it clear? This is something that has happened. Now guys, this is something, but guys, on to the other hand, if we see, the China's actions are actually very contrary. Clear? In 2020, China deliberately manufactured the confrontation with the India on the LAC, and since then in the Arunachal Pradesh, it has named many of the areas as the with the Chinese names. So actually the China's actions and China's speeches, they don't have a coherence with each other. Clear? So China says that we need to cooperate, but China needs to show this particular thing first of all on the practicality. Okay, so this is something that has come, just a kind of a one-liner concept. I hope you have understood it. So that is all guys about the today's newspaper analysis. Okay, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper. I hope that you have understood it. So that is all for today. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.